I just didn't want to put myself in that position. I read the treatment. I was like, okay, standing in a skin-colored G-string naked. I think for me, it would probably be like the personal life thing. Who are you dating? I definitely want to go down the natural route. I've actually tried Botox and I didn't like it. It's just that confidence thing of knowing who you are and going, okay, I feel good, and that's kind of all that matters.
Jess, welcome to the Stellar Podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's lovely to have you here.
Thanks so much.
I have to start by wishing you happy birthday. As you and I are doing this interview, it's actually the eve of your birthday. It's a big milestone birthday. When this episode comes out, you're on the cover of Stellar today, and you will have just turned 40. So thank you for spending the last day of your 30s with me.
No worries.
For you, how are you feeling about that as you say goodbye to one decade and usher in a new one?
Yeah, I feel really good about it. I think it's a beautiful thing to age, and I'm just feeling really grateful, and I feel the best that I've ever felt. I think there is a beautiful thing about coming into your, womanhood and feeling like you've got all the wisdom and the experiences. But yeah, I'm feeling amazing. I'm feeling the best that I've ever felt. Obviously loving life here in Byron and living in paradise and slowing down. So it's been lovely.
I want to ask you a little bit about that slow life of Byron Bay. It's a corner of Australia that I think is something that so many people aspire to. It feels like this sort of dream little pocket of paradise in our own country. Tell me a little bit about the lifestyle there and how that has intersected this slower approach to living at this point in your life, given you have been working since you were 10 years old in the modelling industry. You have worked overseas extensively, travelled in the biggest cities, the fastest paced cities in the world. How is this new chapter of your life playing out?
Oh, it's been the best. Like, it really is a dream living here. And I think for me, I just got to the point where I was feeling a little bit burnt out, obviously, especially after COVID. And, I lived in LA for 10 years. I lived in New York for 6 years. And it felt right to come to Byron at this stage and, connect back to nature. I live in the hinterland here. So I think it was just that time of my life where I was like, I'm really just needing green in my life and peace. And it's been the best thing. I feel so healthy. I practice yoga 3 times a week. I'm, at the beach. It's just a beautiful lifestyle, but it's also very creative. There's a lot of people here from the industry and a lot of my friends from LA that have moved here. So I've got a really good group of friends, and I still feel plugged into the creative industry. And yeah, it's super inspiring being here. I love it. I've always frequently visited Byron in the past, and yeah, I just think it's a great place for creatives.
Do you still travel a lot, or has that also played into this slower approach to life, in that you're not packing your bag and, hitting the airport as much as you might have in the past?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this year I was focused more on being local and at home and really saying no to international work. But yeah, I think that was a very it definitely was something that I was practicing, slowing down more and sort of not saying yes to everything, which I think is a beautiful place to be in. And obviously I'm very grateful that I'm able to be in that place where I can sort of pick and choose now and choose work that aligns with me. So, but yeah, it was definitely a conscious decision to slow down and really look after myself and be in nature and be surrounded by, peace. And I feel lucky that at this time in my life that I'm able to sort of stop and have a good reset. And as much as I have sort of slowed down, things have been busy though in Australia. Like, I've actually been working so much and traveling sort of locally. But yeah, it's been really nice to be based here, and it's really nice to be at that place in my career where I can pick and choose and be in this position.
Your own relationship with the public and them wanting a piece of you. Can I ask you how that is as you turn 40? Because you've had obviously times in your life where there's been really intense, often intrusive media interest. And then there are times where that seems from afar that maybe that's abated a bit. I think having you on the cover of Stella today, for instance, is nice because people want to know what you're up to, and there hasn't been necessarily that level of media intrusion that you have experienced in different points in your life and your career. Is that true? And what does it actually feel like for you as the person that is actually living this rather than just observing it as I am?
Yeah, I think it sort of has gone through stages for me. Like, definitely when I was living in New York and I did Sports Illustrated, that was sort of a different interest. And then when I had my own TV show in South Korea and I was working there, that was like a different type of fame there as well. And then obviously coming back to Australia and, you know, becoming the ambassador of David Jones, that was a whole different media interest as well. So it's kind of, I think I've dealt with fame in different ways. It's kind of weird. It is a bit of a weird thing where people sort of think that they know who you are, but they don't. And there is a lot of interest in, you know, personal matters, or I don't know. It's weird, the fame thing. I think a lot of people can kind of vouch for that, but I think you just got to be cool with it. I guess it just comes with the industry in some ways, and I've gotten used to it now. It doesn't really bother me much anymore, and you can't really control the media and what they're going to write about you, or, you know, maybe you might say something and that doesn't come out right, or it's misunderstood, or, you know, I certainly definitely sometimes do get a little bit nervous before interviews and things, just because I know that I have to be really careful with what I say. Because you're always sort of conscious of not wanting to say the wrong thing or sounding silly. But yeah, I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I think, I just think you've got to just keep your wits about you and know who you are, and just, you know, I've got a really good group of friends, and I've got family, and I've got, you know, true people around me that know who I am. And so it's one of those things where you've just got to sort of keep it tight. And you know, I love what I do. I love that I'm in fashion and I'm a model, and I've been able to travel the world and do the things that I've been able to experience and achieve. And, you know, I just love being in the arts. So, and that comes with that media attention. And I guess it just kind of comes in hand. And I've just gotten used to how to balance it, I guess. But it is really nice to be here in Byron and sort of have it a bit at arm's length. And, you know, obviously it's amazing to be on the cover as Stella and doing this interview. And I feel like I haven't really done an interview for a while. So yeah, it's really lovely that people are obviously interested, and yeah, it's nice. I mean, I hope that I can be somewhat interesting to people. So yeah.
Well, I think you're very interesting, and I think you've had a very interesting life, and no doubt will continue to do so. Jess, I'd love to ask you for your observation to how the industry, and when I say the industry, because you've worked in multiple industries, you've worked in film, you've worked in fashion, all of these different industries, you've been an entrepreneur. Do you think we're becoming kinder to women as collective industries, and to ourselves and to one another when it comes to getting older? But I'm sure when you were starting out as a young model, I mean, obviously at 10, of course, people that were 15 would have looked ancient, but I'm sure when you were in your 20s, even you and your peers would have thought 40 will never be working in this industry at 40.
Yeah, definitely. It is beautiful that I'm still working at this age, and it continues to sort of grow. But I also do feel like this is the best age. Like, I do genuinely feel like, God, this 40 is great. Like, I feel great because you've got all the experience. You know who you are. You know what you want. And I think that there's confidence in that, and that's kind of exudes, and that's what makes you even more attractive. And I do think that the industry now is very open to diversity, and this is something that I've spoken about a lot in the past, but I think it's amazing that we're celebrating women of all ages, and, you know, life's not over at, you know, 25, or you don't have to have everything done by 30. I definitely think that it's going to get better and better. I feel that way. I'm hopeful. It feels that way. It feels like this is a really good time. You know, I feel like I'm in my prime, and I don't know. I just feel happy. I think that's it too, isn't it? It's like when you're younger, you're still trying to figure things out. You're still trying to figure out who you are, what you want to do. And I think with the wisdom and experience that I've had, I just feel happier and confident. And I think that that's what's most important for me, is just feeling really happy with my life, and looking back and going, cool, like if it's all over tomorrow, I did well. I'm proud of myself, and I think that, you know, I was brave and I gave it my best shot, and, you know, I followed my passion and I followed my dreams, and, you know, and I've been lucky. I've been able to achieve some fantastic things, and yeah, it's really nice. Actually, my really close girlfriends here in Byron put on this like honorary circle for me, where they actually acknowledge my 20 plus year career, and it was really special, and it was really just so lovely to have my friends celebrate me in that way and say, wow, look at this body of work that you've done. And because I was starting to feel like it's one of those things where you're working and then it's like working next, and you're sort of just, everything goes so quickly. Like 20 to 30 went so quick, and then, you know, 30 to 40, and obviously we had COVID, but it's like you're just kicking goals and then you're moving on. You're not even kind of having a moment to celebrate them. And I think that's been really nice, to be here and be in this community, and just taking a moment to look back is so lovely. And that's really helped me to embrace this next chapter for myself. And yeah, I feel very fulfilled. I really do. Yeah.
I love what your friends did for you. Like, what an
Yeah.
amazing
Oh.
tribute and moment. And just when you look back at that 20-year body of work, what moments stood out to you? Were there things that you'd forgotten about, things that really stood out as absolute, showstopper moments for you? But also, were there moments that you thought, oh, gosh, that was a really... I'm glad I'm not there. You know, that was a bad time in my life or professionally. Learn never again on that one.
Oh, sure. Like there were definitely moments where I was feeling really at the top of my game, doing the best shoots, but I wasn't happy. I was like, oh, I look at that girl and I'm like, I just want to give her a hug. Like she was going through a really hard time, and, you know, it's tough. Like when you're young and, you know, you move from, I grew up in Perth, and you're in New York, and you're navigating everything, and you're navigating people and managers and agents and work and traveling, and, you know, it's a lot. And then you're experiencing the big highs and the big lows and the fame and the success, but then the, you know, the dramas, and it can be a lot. But I think I really look at that. I think looking back on my career, I'm like, girl, you had resilience. Like, I think that's what how I look at myself and go, you know what, you really stuck it out and you really believed in yourself. And it is hard. Like there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and I think people just see the, you know, the images and the beautiful, like the glitz and the glam, which is lovely, but there is a lot that goes on behind it, and there's a lot of sacrifice. And yeah, I think that I look back and just I'm proud of how I've been able to make it this far. You know, pretty unscathed, I'd say. So I'm just proud that I'm healthy, I'm happy, I'm in a good headspace mentally, and I just feel really grateful. And there's so much beauty in this world to be celebrated. I don't know. I think especially being in nature and just being around, you know, greenery and, you know, waterfalls, and just it's really magical. And there's something that it kind of just brings you back to your true self in so many ways. So that feels really good.
And I imagine that growing up in Perth also played a part in that connection to nature. For you, Jess, that is where you spent your childhood. Also, we spoke about the industry and our culture becoming accepting finally of diversity in terms of age diversity, but also, of course, ethnic diversity. And you have spoken in the past very powerfully about experiencing racism in your younger years, and I'm sure throughout your life. We unfortunately do not live in a utopia, racist-free world yet, hopefully one day.
Yeah.
What are your experience of that as a woman? And as somebody that has worked in the industry in terms of representation, have you seen improvements in how we are accepting of one another, our fellow Australians, regardless of ethnicity and skin colour?
Yeah, I definitely think that it's way better now than what it was. I mean, look, when you're young, you're in school, you're getting teased, it can feel really large, and it definitely shaped who I was in terms of being driven. In some ways, I use that as like, I'm gonna like succeed. You know, it's one of those things where it's like the hardship that you go through as a kid kind of like builds you up to want to sort of like kick goals for yourself. But I mean, for me, in some ways, my ethnicity has made me successful. Do you know what I mean? So I think too, it's just about embracing what's different about you and what's unique about you. And I think as I've gotten more mature and understood myself emotionally, that's really helped. I don't feel that now. I'm just like, this is who I am, and cool. If you like it, great. If you don't, great. Like I think I'm in a place where it's like I couldn't really give a fuck what people think. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's really powerful when you're in your power and you're just like, I don't really, you know what? It's all good. Like, this is who I am. I'm authentically me. And I think for me, it was accepting myself, which was really helpful. And like, obviously there was, you know, a lot of hardship at the beginning, and obviously growing up in Australia and in Perth, especially in quite a rural area I grew up in. But then as soon as I moved to New York, it was like, wow, I felt so accepted. I was like, oh, this is my place. You know, a 19-year-old moving to New York, you're like, cool. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be. Everyone's so different. It's like a melting pot. But this is the thing. I think it's a wonderful thing, and it's a privilege to grow and mature and have more experiences and cultivate more wisdom, because you just, for me, grow and start to understand yourself and understand other people. And I think for me, I like to feel like I'm not a victim to any of that I am just in my power and celebrating who I am and celebrating and other people's differences as well. Like, it'd be so great if we could just live in a world where we can agree to disagree in some ways and just accept that we're all different and we all come from all different walks of life. And you know, and also knowing that if someone does say anything, you know, distasteful to you or mean to you, it's just a projection from them. Do you know what I mean? And it's not actually got anything to do with you. I think it's definitely that thing of just try to not take things personally. But it's hard, you know, especially when you're a kid at school and you're trying to fit in and kids are teasing you because of the way you look or they're saying silly things to you. But it definitely made me want to get out there and make something of myself. It gave me the drive. So I always feel like those moments in life of hardship, they can almost be the best thing for you to prevail and to believe in yourself even more.
Absolutely, and you used the word resilience earlier. I was going to ask you what you think had formed that in you, and might have been something that became instilled in you, may also have been something that you were born with, because it can be an innate quality. But that resilience, I imagine, did that sharpen even further as you made your way throughout your career in your 20s and 30s?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, I grew up, my parents are immigrants and they definitely taught me hard work. And I really am grateful for that. I'm grateful that they instilled in me, like, you know what, nothing's easy in this life. You got to go out there and you've got to roll up your sleeves and you got to work hard. And I really appreciate that. And I obviously started working when I was really young. And I honestly, I really love what I do. Like, I think for me too, I just love creating and I love being in the arts industry. I couldn't think of myself in any other type of industry. I just really love being around creative people and traveling and, you know, meeting different people and experiencing different cultures. And, you know, it's fun. And I think, I've just always loved it. Like, even when I was younger, when I was modeling when I was 10, I loved it. I couldn't wait to get out of school because I had a job. I was always like, yes, I got a modeling gig. I just preferred being out and about and being in the creative space versus just being in a classroom. So I think that's been a huge part of it. And I just think too, you just can't give up. You just got to keep going and you just have to keep believing in yourself, keep doing what you want to do. And that's the thing. I've been pretty lucky in that way. Like, things have sort of always rolled on to the next project or the next thing, or it's always been quite quick moving for me, I've felt, with my career. Obviously in the last 5 years, because of COVID, there was a bit of disruption and things felt a little bit different. And obviously for everyone. And obviously now taking a step back and going, okay, I'm kind of really enjoying being in the country and living a slower paced life, but then still having that creative fire in me. I don't think that will ever go in me. I think I'll always be like, what am I going to do next? And maybe I'm going to do a film now, and maybe I'm going to produce something, or maybe I'm going to create, you know, a shoot or do a shoot, or, you know, maybe I'm going to start a business again because I had my skincare business. So I just think it's like, for me, I just like doing things, I guess. And so that's always kind of kept me going, probably. And I think I am quite artistic. I don't know if people would read that on me, but I do really love film and I love telling stories and I love beauty and I love art. So I love music. Yeah, it's fun.
You also have good instincts. I think you were really ahead of the curve in speaking out about representation and experiencing racism in Australia. I think the way that you have spoken about the way that we treat women, women being pitted against each other, are things that are quite common now, and I think they should be. But you were quite brave to call out some of those double standards before other people were.
Yeah, I think for me, I've always just felt like I had to be honest with how I was feeling. And I knew that if I could be a voice, I could use my voice for the good, really. And I could, because I know a lot of other women felt the same way. So I feel like if I was given the platform, I could be a voice for them as well. And so I just felt really inspired and really called to. It was very instinctual. I just felt like I needed to say it. And, you know, I've been really lucky. I am so grateful. I've been able to work internationally. I've, you know, had a lot of success in America and in Asia and Australia. So it's been wonderful that I've been able to have sort of an international career, and I've been able to, experience a lot of things and learn a lot of things from different people. And yeah, it's just really, I just think it's great. I feel lucky that I am brave to speak about those things, I guess, and vocalize certain things. I definitely feel I'm a lot more brave though, as when I was younger, I have to say. Like, sometimes now I am a little bit like, no, I maybe don't need to say that now. but you know, definitely when I was younger, I felt very passionate about it because obviously I was coming against those certain issues, and there were a couple of times where the media was pitting me against other women, and I was like, what? I never said that. Or there was certain things that were kind of said, and I obviously had to, you know, stand up for myself and make that clear that no, that's not what happened. So, you know, I'm all about celebrating women. I think there's room for everyone. I think that we're in a really beautiful time where we are celebrating women from, all walks of life. And, everyone sort of has their own story to tell, which is so lovely. I mean, I meet women all the time from all different, industries, and we all have a similar common thread. We just want to feel connection and feel heard and seen. And, we all have something to say, I guess, in that way. But I'm really excited about, I'm optimistic. I'm excited. I think it's nice to feel hopeful about what the future's going to bring.
I think, Jess, it's also reflective, of course, of the wider culture and, that Star Wars era. It was David Jones and Maya,
Yeah.
and so people like yourself, and then, Jen Hawkins with Maya. It was this constant. Of course, they can't be friends because they work for rival brands.
Totally.
And then it became really quite sort of misogynistic in it, and I
Yeah.
think that has gotten better.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. I think that the media does have a responsibility in some ways to create unity and not create this sort of like there's a game going on, but they're trying to sell papers. So people obviously people want the drama, I guess, of it. But yeah, it's definitely, I think that's been a big key thing too is I think for anyone that's in the public eye, I'm sure, is an understanding and knowing of how to handle the media, because I do feel like that's a huge part of the industry and the work as well. So and that's obviously something that I've learnt from my mistakes along the way, and I've had a lot more experience with the media, so now feeling a little bit more comfortable with it all. But yeah, I still sometimes struggle with it. But that's the beautiful thing as well about being in Byron and just kind of being able to tap out a bit and sort of, shut off all the noise for a bit and yeah, just be in peace.
I spoke about how you have always had that willingness to speak up about things and call out double standards and injustice when you see it, but you've also turned down projects that weren't necessarily aligned with your professional or personal values at the time. And I think one of them that's dated very, very, very well is being offered a role in Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines music video. Are you proud of yourself that, again, you sort of could see a little bit into the future in maybe making that decision?
Yeah, I think for me, obviously shooting Sports Illustrated at a very young age, in my early 20s, and having that attention that you're sort of, you kind of do feel a little bit objectified, and you're sort of still figuring yourself out, like owning your body, owning your sexuality. Like it's kind of weird when you're sort of the pin-up sex symbol, you know what I mean? It can be quite confusing. So I think for me at that stage, I was really trying to cultivate a different image. So for me, at that point, I was like, you know what? I don't really feel like showing my body in that way. And that was just my personal decision. Like, I don't judge anyone. Like, I think it's great when women embrace their bodies. I still do it. I really love my body now. I have an appreciation for it. I think it's beautiful when you can show the female form. But I think in that stage of my life, I just didn't feel like putting myself on that platform in that way. And I'm really happy with my decision. Obviously, it was a big song, and but yeah, I think I just didn't want to put myself in that position as well. I read the treatment. I was like, okay, standing in a skin-colored G-string naked, I think it was like sucking Robin Thicke's fingers or something like that. And I was just like, I'm good. I'm good. I don't think I need to do this at this stage of my career. I think I had already shot like Sports Illustrated 5 times. I was feeling pretty good about my career and where I was at. And I think I just felt like it wasn't the right project for me. And I mean, I really love the song and I love the artists. And but yeah, I'm really happy with that. I think for me, it was just protecting myself at that time and knowing that I didn't want to put myself in that position.
I love the way that you've answered that in terms of also saying absolutely no judgment on anyone who did participate, but also that there is absolutely no shame in showing your body for all women, whatever shape or size you are. And I wanted to ask you that before we finish up, Jess, again, just to revisit the prism of going into your 40s now, because I think one of the interesting conversations that we're having around visibility of women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s is you see a lot of women still like really, doing what they've always done. And that might be, being on the cover of a magazine in a swimsuit at 65, or like, rocking a really slinky look on the red carpet at 70. And I think, great. I don't think everyone has to do that any more than I think every 20-year-old would need to walk down the runway in a swimming costume, because let's be honest, you're in like the 1% of women that could do that. And it's the same is going to go when you're 40, 50, 60, 70, I would argue. But there is a little still of a discourse, you're not there yet, at 40, where they go, oh no, cover it up, we don't need to see that. And I think you do you, whatever you want to wear, whatever your age. How are you prepared to tackle that conversation, any judgment, expectation that comes with it as you navigate the next few decades ahead?
I just think you have to own it. You have to own where you're at in life. You have to accept, and you just have to, lead with grace. And I think if you want to wear a swimsuit and you're like however age, then cool. Like, I think it's great. Like, if you're owning who you are and you're in your power and you're like, cool, this is what I'm going to do, and it feels aligned and it feels in integrity and it makes you happy, then great. I think for me as well, in terms of the decisions that I've made in my career, I have had to be like, okay, is this going to be good for me? Like, is this going to be good for me? Is it the consequences that, I look at my moral compass in certain things and what I'm going to do and what I'm not. And if I'm not comfortable with it, then I'm not comfortable with it and I won't do it. But if I am, cool. So I think we're all sort of different in that way of what we're comfortable in doing. And I always just think, just do what makes you feel good. Because the minute that you listen to somebody else or you decide that you shouldn't have done that or whatever, and then that's when you kind of feel shame or guilt, or you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. I knew it intuitively. I knew I should have said yes. And I think that's the key. But I think that, we should just celebrate who we are. And look, it can be hard. Like, it's not as if every day I'm like, woo, like I feel, really, looking in the mirror, like, yeah, like, we have our days, right? We're human, we feel, but I think if you're in your truth and you're living authentically, then I think that it's all good.
I think also it's that aspect of, I'd love to gauge your thoughts, Jess, on the transparency and the dichotomy that faces all women about quote unquote aging gracefully. And again, this is really ahead of you, but I'm sure something that will start to pop up for you as a woman, but also as a public figure in the 40s, is that women are becoming increasingly transparent about what they might do. Where, now women, if they are using botox or having other cosmetic enhancements, they're quite candid about it. So my question really is, what's your view on that, and how do you feel about the transparency? Is it intrusive to you if I were to say, so Jess, now you're 40, I mean, what are you thinking? Have you used botox? Are you going to use botox? Or do you welcome the level of transparency that we're having in our culture at the moment?
I definitely welcome it, for sure. And again, whatever feels good for you. I mean, for me, I definitely want to go down the natural route because it feels better to me, especially now living in Byron and living a more organic life. I definitely feel like I'm much more leaning towards that. And I've actually tried Botox and I didn't like it, like just the tiniest little bit, and it just, I rejected it. So I think for me, I know for myself, I'm definitely going to go down the natural route. And again, it's just whatever works best for you. I think aging is a beautiful thing. I think having a few little wrinkles here and there is fine. I think, again, it's obviously growing up in this culture as well. And, even growing up as a model, like, you are fixated on yourself. And I've definitely, you can kind of start to critique yourself a lot because you are in the limelight and it's all about image. And of course, people are always going to be saying something about you oh, she looks this or she's that or she's that. So again, it's just that confidence thing of knowing who you are and going, okay, like this, I feel good. And, you know, that's kind of all that matters in some ways. Like I always think I want to feel good from the inside out, and I just want to exude like happiness and light and be glowy and fresh. I think for me, that's always been kind of my beauty sort of, I guess, I don't know, my beauty rituals, I guess, that make me feel really confident and great. And obviously, you know, doing a lot of yoga now and being present and doing all the natural things, like, you know, I'm you know, getting into the tea ceremonies here and doing all the hydrotherapy here and going to get massages in the spa. And obviously I'm very grateful and lucky that I get to do those things. But I just think you have to do what works for you and what you feel feels good. For me, I feel like the natural way is great. It feels simpler to me. I think when you for me, if I start getting into like it's like, oh my God, where does it end, right? So I think you just have to let nature take its course and allow it, accept it, and just be grateful and be like, I am growing old because I am still here and I haven't, you know, nothing bad's happened to me. Do you know what I mean? Like it's, you know, yeah, I just feel I feel lucky to be here on this planet another year, I guess. Well, another decade, hopefully.
No, I know exactly.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Mean.
I feel like it is really a privilege to grow old and to, you know, be able to experience this existence of living. And I just feel grateful for that. And I feel grateful that my body works, like, and I've been able to do the things that I've been able to do with my body. You know, I've been able to create images and, you know, lead this incredible life of modeling and acting. And, you know, I think when you focus on the positive, that does grow in some ways. I know that might sound really cheesy, but it just are in those moments when you're critiquing yourself or you're being a little bit hard on yourself, to really just focus on, well, what are the gifts that my body has given me? I think we have as a society become really obsessed with being perfect. And I think the imperfections are what makes you beautiful. And yeah, I think that's been a lot of my journey as well with myself and my self-worth, is just accepting who I am. And this is it.
Well, I love this, and I think this is a nice note on which to probably wrap up the conversation. I think my final question, Jess, would be, well, first of all, thank you genuinely for your time. And I think because the idea of media evolving and hopefully becoming more respectful of the way that we treat women in particular has been a bit of a recurring theme of our conversation. I just wanted to maybe give you the opportunity to call out any questions that you think we should stop asking.
I think for me, it would probably be like the personal life thing, and sort of putting a lot of attention on who are you dating and, you know, your love life. I feel like that's very personal to women. And yeah, I definitely feel like, you know, it should be about what women are achieving, really. For me, I've always been a little bit frustrated with like, oh, there's been so much interest on like who I'm dating, but it's like, okay, but this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm talking to you guys about. So let's just focus on what I'm creating versus just like who I'm dating. And I get the interest, like I get people are excited, or, you know, they're trying to get clickbait or they're trying to sell a story. But yeah, I just think people just need to be a little bit more kinder in interviews and understanding, and just, you know, be more interested in the good stuff, in the creative side of things, and telling stories and getting that human side from somebody. I think for me, I always feel bad when I see interviews happen of women where they feel really like, you know, introverted by it, or like they feel like they've been tripped up by an interview. I feel like that's really not nice, especially with someone that is an artist or someone that is in the public eye and has worked really hard of what they're doing, and then in an interview they can feel like they've been disrespected or they've had something said to them that isn't very nice. I always feel like that's not fair. I think Kate Winslet has spoken about this a lot, especially about the way a woman's weight, or like commenting on, I think that's not great at all. I feel like that's very kind of, it's just disrespectful, I think, to comment on someone's weight in an interview or say something like an underlying little dig. I think that from journalists, I'd like to just see more respect to artists and to people that are working, and they're out doing things. They're not, they're giving their time to share a story and to promote their hard work. And it just kind of, it's a bit disappointing sometimes when you do see journalists, it's like they're trying to get something, and that's always a little bit of a shame to see. Yeah.
Jess, thank you so much for your time today. It's been really lovely to speak to you, and happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on everything you have achieved in the first 40 years, and look forward to having you back on in the years that follow to talk through. And you can find out more about the lovely Jessica Gomes on Instagram. We'll have a link to your account in our show notes. Jess Gomes, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.